Eager getting the better of Noble and some pretty interesting matches there. However, we got 3 sets today, and up next it's going to be Kingdom Esports as they take on eLevate. So neither team having found a win just yet, but I think a decent amount of potential out of these squads.
Really unfortunate right now. Kingdom losing to Noble and Eager, eLevate losing to Most Wanted and Soar in their first week right now. We do have a little bit of a roster substitute. Penyyy subbing in for Owen from PC right now into the solo lane, and StormyRays moving into the Guardian position right now.
Yeah, so eLevate having fallen to the 2 teams that are undefeated so far, I think eLevate, they had a tougher week 1. Let's be fair here. Kingdom kind of had one of the easier sides of that here. We're going to be getting into the first matchup, though, as eLevate do have a little bit of a switch up in their roster. Kingdom, this might be a time for them to take advantage of that.
And we're going to see what these 2 teams elect to pick right now, whether they're going to go for the safe first picks the same way that Eager versus Noble did, whether it was the Athena or the Thor first picks, or if they're going to do similar bans already. Raijin banned away.
And eLevate going to respond. So, so far these first 2 sets having very similar bans here. We'll see if eLevate have a strategy against Susano like their other SCL players Eager did. Zeus taken away, so just mid-target.
Not wanting to deal with that kind of late-game magical damage right now. Thor getting off the table for eLevate as well. With that, Kingdom with first pick, more than likely going to pick up maybe an Athena or a Giannis trying to get that global presence. It gives you a kind of a staple inside your composition where you can't really go wrong with those 2 picks.
I mean, Susano is up too, though, but instead they're going to go Ao Kwang. So Kingdom Esports not falling for any bait that eLevate might have here. eLevate have the option to pick it up themselves. We could just not see it picked up at all. I mean, Ao Kwang, though, a little bit surprising to see him rise so frequently after really not seeing too many games for a matter of weeks.
This does a lot of late game damage, so you always have to watch out for that. Even if you do fall behind early on, he's going to be able to make sure that he controls any side lane that's struggling or take advantage of one side that is going to be at a deficit early on. And eLevate trying to get some aggression with the Ravana and the Bacchus already.
Yeah, and we've seen Robin rise as well, just so dominant in the solo lane, wins virtually every matchup. If you play it, to perfection, obviously mistakes will be made sometimes. Kingdom Esports, they're going to elect to go into that Athena that you were talking about potentially being first pick, so they do get the Ao Kwang as well as a very strong support. And
with that, the Soul is going to get locked in as well, so there's a little bit of a flexibility for Kingdom right now. Could go mid, could go Hunter position. The Athena will synergize pretty well, obviously. Taunting into the Stellar Burst is very nice. eLevate taking advantage of the fact that Susano wasn't banned and going to third pick it.
So a little bit of surprises, I would say, in these picks and bans phase. But we're heading into the second ban phase here. eLevate probably going to start to target out, I guess, Hunters, right? They could have looked for soul laners as well that they don't want, their Robin to deal with. That's the only thing that they have that Kingdom Esports doesn't right now. And Kingdom Esports, that's telling me that Soul's going mid with that Chronos ban.
With the Chronos, that could actually be a flex ban as well. So I like not only do you have a flex pick, you have a flex ban.
Never mind, it's Zachsy, actually. Zachsy is one of the more notable players who does run that Chronos in the dual lane.
And with that, Giannis is going to get banned as well, not allowing eLevate to have that kind of global presence out of the mid lane. So maybe with the Giannis ban, maybe that's kind of leading eLevate to believe that Soul will be in that mid position. Xbalanque going to get locked in right now, so it's going to be very difficult for Kingdom to find the initiations against that Darkest of Nights.
Chalk locked in. So that's a little bit surprising to me. We haven't seen Chalk too much. He does have a kind of a safe laning phase where he can just throw his hammer. He has the heal with his rain dance as well. And then Kingdom Esports continuing with I'd say that safety, pick up Neath. And I think right now they're relying pretty heavily on this Ao Kwang for their team fights.
They have the mid to late game Ao Kwang. They have the safety of the shock to deal with the aggressive Ravana during laning phase, because you can throw that axe from so far away. You don't have to come close to him. And then obviously the Neath can sit in the lane forever.
What about the Habwa though?
The Habwa is interesting, though, because we haven't seen it in a while. It does so much damage once you build those passive, having extra magical power for your next ability as well. You find the knock-up into the ultimate that you could easily get anybody under 25%.
Is this just maybe a counter to Ao Kwang, right? Because he has to be melee range for you, which means Water Hands is going to be easy to hit. And then even if he jumps on you and he hits you with the Lightning Storm, right, you could kind of knock up with the water spout on him, and then ults, and maybe that's enough damage to kill him, or at the very least set him up.
It's
I mean, is that what you're looking for?
There's a lot of counterplay potential as well because Ao Kuang can expect the knockup and kind of preemptively purification that. And you also have the CC immunity of the Habwa ultimate to deal with Ao Kuang, trying to negate the ultimate and then just go through him doing a lot of damage.
It's gonna be interesting. I really want to see how Paul does on this Ao Kuang. This is probably gonna be the matchup that we're gonna take most note of is TsmaII on this Ao Kuang versus Paul on his Habwa. Starting builds, though, nothing too crazy. It looks like TsmaII is going to be going for the Dynasty Plate Helm, so he wants that little bit of bonus protection against the Susano, who's probably going to be controlling the jungle early on. And I'd say the Curse is probably the other interesting thing I'm looking at this. Just taking a look at that Athena. Maybe some aggression.
With that build from TsmaII right now, it's going to give an advantage going for eLevate right now with their builds. They have the purple pot on the Habwa, and that's the one god that you want to have purple pot on at level 1 and 2 specifically. You're just going to be doing so much damage with your water cannon that's up every 3 seconds.
And no invades here. It looks like Ao Kuang and Chalk just going to be doing their speed into the blue, and the same for the top side. So no one trying to get too crazy just yet. Why haven't we seen too many invades in SCL? Is that just matchups?
It just seems that teams aren't comfortable quite yet at this point in time right now. It's not do or die for any team. Maybe once it goes into some desperation mode later on in the season, then maybe the team that's kind of struggling in the season will more than likely run some invades. But right now, it's still very early on in the season.
Curse actually popped Stormy, trying to get away. His jump's already down. This should be first blood. Going over to Catalyyyst. Really clean execution.
That was exactly like you said, very clean. The jump was down. There was nothing that the Bacchus could have done to escape from that. The root just like locks you in. You have also damage coming from the archers on your side if you're Kingdom, because the burp did hit the Neath as well, getting the mini aggro.
And now Kingdom gonna have a slight edge in this one. Sealcar getting very low against Penyyy here. He just wants to try and have this advantage. Both do have sustained Death's Toll online for Penyyy, and Sealcar has the just the rain dance in his kit, so he's going to be able to heal up here. It doesn't look like he has it just yet, however.
Yeah, in this situation, it's going to favor Shock when you can do this kind of poke from far away. Now, obviously, you can overhead kick the axe. However, the axe will have a shorter cooldown than the overhead kick.
And, oh, waste trouble. Freya finds a return in favor of eLevate. I mean, just the pull into the knockup, just so much damage.
Yeah, he does have the Sanctuary online available to him, but didn't have time to pop it during all that chain CC, so getting the return kill was really nice. Unfortunately, it wasn't first blood available for Kingdom, but they still find a return kill.
And so Kingdom did have that 500 gold bounty. That's where the lead that we're looking at comes from. But you know what's interesting to me is actually BkWaste elected to go into Sanctuary instead of the Purification. Do you think that was the right choice right there? Because we saw him just get not only pulled back, but then knocked up. Nothing he could do about it. Couldn't even pop Sanctuary because he was in the air.
He's thinking of scenarios where he's going to try to counter the Habwa ultimate more than anything else. Now, he always has to take into consideration the damage that you have. You have a Purple Pot Habwa. You have the Susano, who has a lot of damage as well. Catalyst's going to get turned on, but he's just going to backflip away. He's fine.
You could see they were trying to find the poison darts onto Beneath as well, but not going to be able to connect. And I'd say eLevate still have a pretty good advantage. You can see the dual lane isn't scared to fight too much. TsmaII going to rotate in, trying to find some aggression onto the Robin, and just going to control the fire elementals for now. But I mean, what's scary is this Habwa right now. 2,500 gold in hand, or 2,500 gold right now, as compared to the 23 from the Soul. So gonna have his penetration boots online pretty early.
And pretty early is the Golden Bow from the Neath after that first blood, already coming back to the lane with that. Should give her a pretty significant advantage going further on right now. Bacchus going to look for a rotation right now as the Xbalanque does clear the wave. The red buff and the boards are spawning right now, so this could be a situation where if I'm Kingdom, I'm thinking about potentially playing aggressive around that side of the map.
And the problem here, though, is this Habwa, where when he's ahead, when his team's ahead, a Habwa that's kind of allowed to do anything is so powerful. But is it worth it to try and shut him down, right? because if you don't shut him down, now he's just going to be even further ahead, right? If he can find the return kills.
I wouldn't be trying to overextend just to kill him, but if you could potentially find him isolated with some good warding vision control around the red buff side of things aggressively, then maybe look for him for easy kills. You do have the Susano to potentially, you do have the Alquang to just do a lot of damage to the Hobwa potentially.
And doesn't look like anything crazy going to go on just yet. We did have an invade coming out from Kingdom on the right-hand side, and now BkWaste just going to back up in the middle. Right-hand side Harpies should go over to Kingdom Esports, and those will be traded out. But actually a rotation from the dual lane. It doesn't look like Catalyyyst wants to give these up for free. And eLevate aren't even going to have the timers on them, I don't believe. So still Kingdom starting to control this early game.
Kingdom getting both mid Harpies right now. eLevate was in position to get those left Harpies. It just didn't seem like you mentioned they had the timer. So 2 members back from eLevate, not allowing them to get that kind of one-for-one trade that they still needed. They already lost the blue buff as well as the first blood, so they need to find ways to kind of slowly itch their way back into the game. They're not down that much right now. It's only about 700 gold. Neath ultimate onto Penyyy right now.
He overhead kicks early, but he's going to ult away. Oh, and Sealcar actually body blocking TsmaII there. So that was pretty well played for Penyyy, though. I mean, he saw that the Neath arrow was coming in. He overhead kicks a little bit early, but ults away to make sure that he'll get the full distance.
He tried to overhead kick the axe, knowing that he could also ultimate just to cover enough distance that even if the Neath ultimate did connect on him, there would be no follow-up.
And Xbalanque ult spin. I think eLevate, we're trying to force something in the middle there, but Toasty recognizes it, backs off into tower as well, and TsmaII's pushed up here. So 3v3 in the middle lane.
In this situation for eLevate, they should be looking to maybe clean up this Neath right now with a little bit of an advantage that she has over the Xbalanque. Already finishing off tier 2 boots. Does have about a 300 gold lead over the Xbalanque. So if I'm Kingdom, I'm thinking about if I'm eLevate, I'm thinking how can I catch up in duo?
And the knockup is going to be good here. TsmaII trying to poke out eLevate, but takes more poke than I think he wanted to take in return. Just water illusions out as well, and it's kind of a poke war right now for both these teams. So I think eLevate wants to be the aggressors with their core, right? They have a Hobwa, Susano, and a Bacchus. Like, that's a ton of burst damage, but Kingdom are positioning themselves pretty well.
And they're just being a bully right now in the soul lane specifically side of things. You know, forcing the overhead kick earlier on, using the axe yet again. Left side of things, there was positioning by eLevate, but they're not going to find anybody out of position right now. Looking at the warding situation for both teams, they do have some really good vision around the Gold Fury side of things.
And this is just really hard for Penyyy, honestly, because of not only the Neath ult, but the Alquang as well. We've seen what Alquangs do to solo laners specifically, where because there's so much poke going on in the solo lane, Sealcar doesn't really care if he takes damage as long as he can return any amount of damage, because that just puts the kill threshold for Penyyy that much shorter. The Neath arrow into the Alquang ult will almost guarantee it every time.
And we do have a rotation coming out of the Susano, and we do have the protections coming from Sealcar as well, just buying time with the rotation from TsmaII, not connecting on the third ability, but going to disengage very safely under that tier 1 tower. Rotation underneath by the Bacchus, might be able to find something, but those mid Harpies are coming up.
He's like, nah, man, I'm about that farm. I'm not trying to go to a fight. I'm Bacchus, man. I just need extra gold. Look, I didn't go into Travelers, so all I got is my Watchers. Invade once again onto the blue buff, though. And Stormy does want to defend this successfully. He's going to try. The knockup is good, but it's not going to be enough damage. Oh, but the ult will secure it.
He doesn't have his belly flop available. Tim's going to get taunted, and that's going to be another kill with the shock ultimate as well. Execute available, but not used.
Can't find it. Oh, he's getting body blocked right now, and Freya, he's actually going to be able to stay alive. StormyRays, though. The Neath ult's intercepted in the mid lane. Oh, that's so well played. Sealcar does fall in the back line, and the rotation from Hobwa not going to be enough to find the Athena here, but maybe Susano can combine for the kill to slow off the mark, which means Freya and Paul going to be able to keep this aggression up, and what looked to be a free fight for Kingdom turns in favor of eLevate.
Just really aggressive positioning coming out of Kingdom, trying to invade that blue buff. This time around, the Bacchus was in position to make sure that there was no shenanigans going on there. And then off those 2 kills, eLevate is going to start the Gold Fury at the 8-minute mark. Should be free right now. Nobody in position right now for Kingdom to do anything about it.
Wow. Wow. eLevate now down about 1,000, swung in their favor. They're now ahead. 600, and I mean that was such an interesting fight. I'm trying to figure out how Stormy actually stayed alive. At first it was body blocks, but then I heard the execute go off, but I think he got knocked up by Paul at the exact same time.
It might have been clipped by another character that was right beside him, unfortunately. There's that weird hitbox where if there's two targets right next to each other, it's kind of difficult depending on which side you're leaning on.
But now, I mean, eLevate, they were behind a decent amount here, but even SCL has closed the gap. He was down 500 gold, but with that Gold Fury, it's all but neutralized, which means Neith, who excels in the early game but kind of falls off in the late, this is not where she wants to be.
Not at all. Unfortunately, SCL almost found that stack in the mid lane, but they found the Gold Fury, which is just as nice as well. So eLevate making a name for themselves right now in this game. They're not out of it right now. They're actually ahead at this point in time, and they're looking to play aggressive now.
Oh, a 3-man Stellar Burst, though, going to slow down the aggression. But the knock up onto TsmaII and a good amount of damage here. He's chased, but the Susano can't find him through the stealth, and he's going to be able to get out of this one.
And with that right now, teams are just going to reset. But it looks like eLevate's still looking to find somebody right now. The Haba ultimate is available, so that's a lot of damage. Meditation just to make sure. Triple taunt right now. The ultimate from Soul is a little bit off the mark, too far north. Intoxicate coming out. Haba ultimate coming out. That's going to be 2 kills in the favor of eLevate. And now they're going to try to go into the Soul lane, trying to help out Penyyy.
And now Sealcar here on the right-hand side. He's going to find a couple members in his lane soon. Paul rotating over here. Oh, and he throws his axe as well, so he has no way to get out. But he'll be fine, it seems, for the most part. But, I mean, that just mechanics there, honestly. That was just all mechanics. I don't even know if they're going to have enough damage to secure that fight in the mid lane. You could see what BkWaste was trying to line up. But unfortunately for him, his ult just so off the mark.
The idea was there, and it was beautiful. It was a triple taunt into an ultimate that was just a little too far north.
It was just right around their backs.
Maybe he was thinking that they were going to retreat off of the taunt, so that was going to prevent them from retreating. But the idea that eLevate has, they wanted that fight.
Yeah.
And we saw that a very aggressive Habwa ultimate that hit 2 targets, allowing for a very easy double kill.
There was also Freya who finds a knock-up on top of Stormy's knock-up. Like, we haven't really mentioned it too much, but knockups are the hardest CC in SMITE because you can't, like, in the middle of them, hit your Purify and then just get dropped down. You have to preemptively Purify. And there's 3 of them on eLevate, right? Water Spout, the Belly Flop, and the Siphon as well from that Susano.
Unless you're Jingwei.
Unless you're Jingwei. But that was banned out by eLevate. They banned it out in the second phase. They
really
just
good
banned
ban.
out the counter to their team.
Yeah, it was a really good ban. Very wise and calculated right there. So going into the game, 11 minutes mark right now. eLevate controlling the pace. After those 2 kills, they had a lot of options that they could have done. They could have pushed the tier 1 mid tower. They could have potentially helped Penyyy and alleviate a lot of the pressure. But instead, they elected to go for the speed and the blue buff, which denies Kingdom from getting any sort of control.
Freya here getting poked pretty low, but TsmaII not going to keep up the fight. And now Toasty kind of left by himself. Poison darts off the mark. If those connect and the slow goes through, maybe the chase comes out from eLevate, but there's also the soul around the corner.
I just love the synergy right now coming out of eLevate. You know, the BkWaste ultimates, they just work so well together. The knockups that they have between themselves, which can also set up the Haba ultimate, just a lot of damage all throughout that they can confirm.
Yeah. I mean, eLevate was a team in the middle coming into this one. They were formerly known as COG. Similar to Most Wanted, they always got to the semifinals and the qualifiers, but they couldn't kind of get past Soar or Eager ever. They're definitely a squad that, you know, we expect to be at the top to be able to take on these teams. And this set should go in their favor to Kingdom. Kingdom kind of at the bottom. They haven't really had anything going for them just yet. And you can see them right now just getting abused, not only as a team, but individually.
That was so close, almost finding the kill onto Toasty. That water sprout was just, it hit the mark, but I think it was not maxed out. If there was 3 points into the ultimate of the Habwa,
yes,
that water sprout was not maxed out. Had there been 1 more point into that, or maybe tier 2 Obsidian, that definitely would have been a kill onto the Athena.
And the Habwa right now is a 4-level lead over the Athena, who has 0 magical protection. Still trying to finish her first defensive item if you don't count, you know, boots. And look at this, speed buff on spawn, 4 members of eLevate surround it. And it's going to go to Paul. So he's not actually even looking for the damage from red buff now. He just wants to make sure that he can have that mobility to stay alive.
And in this situation, that's going to allow the Xbalanque Zachsy to pick up the red buff of his own, trying to win these trades onto Catalyyyst, because more than likely BkWaste is going to try to get the red buff just to make sure that his jungle fight presence along top of TsmaII is just going to be a little bit stronger.
And there is still that damage potential coming out from Kingdom here. Gold Fury has respawned, and it is started up. And actually, Kingdom don't have the timer on this, I don't believe. They're going to know that it's going on now here, and eLevate just going to drop it. So Hobble had back there, I think, to spend a little bit of his gold, get that Obsidian Shard 2 online. And eLevate were just kind of looking to sneak it. They didn't want to force a fight at all.
It was a good power spike for the Hobble to back in that situation, wanting to make sure that when the next team fight does break out, that he's kind of more positioned himself to get the burst that he needs. Yes. Picking up the speed buff is also a nice strategy because you're going to put yourself in a good position to ultimate aggressively, and then you could disengage as well with that speed buff, with the carpet as well, which will eliminate any slows.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't talked about too much because Hobble was buffed. Not only the water spout, the mana efficiency on it, but also that water carpet where you're going to be immune to slows. Teammates are immune to slows as well on it now.
Yes.
That's pretty massive.
It is, especially along these corridor team fights, along the jungle side of things. It's going to allow his team to basically travel along, especially if he gets CDR, which is more than likely not going to happen this game because of just the way it's been panning out so far, just a high bursty team game. But if he did elect for that kind of a CDR build, he can have a carpet up off cooldown every single time.
And just pressure into the mid lane. eLevate right now, they're just trying to gain an advantage. They're trying to either find a solo kill or forced members of Kingdom out so they could start up this Gold Fury. And you can see that's just what they're doing. Trouble on the right-hand side, though. Sealcar, the ultimate, going to be jumped by Penyyy here. The Neathalt's going to connect here. I don't know if that's going to be enough damage. He actually overhead kicks early and he stays alive.
Wow, the overhead kick was just a little bit early, but meanwhile, on the Gold Fury side of things, BkWaste going into disapparate form, looking for some ultimate from Hobble.
Oh, it is on him. No, and Catalyyyst here going to be in trouble, but Stormcat is away. Freya doesn't want to aggress onto the tower, and this is kind of just bait right now as Paul going to clean up the rest of Kingdom on the right-hand side.
Sealcar teleporting in, he's going to fall as well, forcing the Sanctuary out of BkWaste. Really good pressure coming out of eLevate so far. They're finding the poke, they found the kill, and now they can go back to the Gold Fury very freely right now. The sprint and the purification was used from underneath early on. Very afraid off of that Bacchus right now, but looks like Toasty's thinking about coming in, but he's half health right now. He does have ultimate. He should have potentially backed and then looked to ulti in, but it's too late.
That's not going to happen. Two members zoning right now. Gold Fury's already completed. eLevate picks up the second one of the match, and Catalyyyst, his jump is down and he's being chased. Just trying to close the distance is Pennyy here. The root's off the mark, but the pinch might be good.
The taunt is there, available. Penny's going to eat some tower shots as well. Going to use this ultimate aggressively onto the Ao Kuang right now. The belly flop off the mark, but going to find the kill. Paul is going to get return killed as well. However, so far, Gold Fury going into the favor of eLevate. That Tier 1 tower is being pressured as well. Catalyyyst, not much mana available to him, and he doesn't have his relics available, but eLevate's going to take the win and reset.
I think eLevate there a little bit sloppy. You could see incredibly greedy, just most of their team going on separate targets there instead of just, combining for the free Neath, or I should say the free Athena under tower. Paul gets caught by himself, gets rooted by the Neath. The ultimate comes out on top of him from BkWaste as well, this time on the mark. So honestly, Kingdom do get probably more than they should have there. I think if eLevate can just, fight as a team and then get the Tier 1, it's a pretty massive lead, but Kingdom's still holding out hope.
And the later this game goes, the more I'm worried about Kingdom at this point in time. The Xbalanque is level 17 currently. The Hobble is level 15, 2 levels ahead of the Soul right now. Just going to be doing a lot of damage. The way Sealcar rotated to that team fight, the Hobble just blew him up instantly. Used his abilities, followed up with the ultimate, just doing a lot of damage. Not having any magical defense, not having any health on line for Sealcar. So he's going to be the first victim every single time. He cannot come anywhere near this Hobble.
And you can see he's gone into the shell at least, so he will have those protections, but I mean, if you have to rely on fighting a Hobble when your shell is up, that's not going to be good for you because Hobble's cooldowns are so low. If you pop the shell, he can just disengage, wait, and then come back in. Red buff is getting aggressed onto right now. Stormy finds the stun onto BkWaste, and Paul just trying to, I love this from Paul. He wasn't looking to force anyone. He's just making sure that Kingdom can't pick up the red buff.
And he's going to allow the rest of his team to just position themselves next to them so that they can maybe force something right now. StormyRays just going to back off right before that Stellar Burst comes online. Toasty going to negate the burp right now. No follow-up off of the taunt, however.
And same from eLevate there. You can see no follow-up from them. Maybe that could have been a fight in their favor, but instead they just want to play it safe. Look at this, though. StormyRays, on the right-hand side, or excuse me, Sealcar on the right-hand side, just proxying. But his blue buff's getting stolen in the meantime, and I don't think he knows about it. He knows about it now.
TsmaII is going to make the rotation right now, going to see it, and it looks like it was picked up by Penyyy right now. The question is, can he buy enough time for the rotation from Hobwa? Not going to connect onto the water sprout, but Sealcar's in a lot of trouble, not connecting on the Hobwa ultimate, going to silence all 4 members out of eLevate right now, and it's going to disengage.
Oh, but a taunt from Toasty under tower here. The rotation has come in from BkWaste as well. Finds Freya in the jungle, but quickly disapparates away. TsmaII here as well, and eLevate. They could have looked to push, but instead they actually stick 3 members still over here, which is going to distract Kingdom long enough for the middle tower to get aggressed onto.
Both teams have similar ideas. You have the Neath split push on the left-hand side. You have the Xbalanque and the Susano trying to find the tier 2 mid tower. Got it to a little bit less than half, trading the tier 1 tower for that amount of health right now. They have a 5-on-4 advantage around the middle and the right-hand side of the map, but it looks like with the Xbalanque rotating left, there's going to be an engage in the soul lane side of things. A lot of damage online onto the Athena. She's going to have to disengage as well as the Bacchus.
I think if TsmaII had known how much damage to go onto that Bacchus, he probably would have kept chasing. The meditation is online, so it is of something you have to worry about a little bit, but that Bacchus was in execute range at the end there. Just the Ao Kuang can't find it, and the Ao Kuang's going to have to be the hope, honestly, for Kingdom. 0-0-1 right now, but when he translates to the late game, I mean, as long as he can get the burst onto any one of these carries, I mean, that's kind of like a Scylla, where if you find an execute, you can turn a team fight.
And level 12 right now on the Bacchus did back to pick up the shell right now. I would have liked to see him pick up a purification just to make sure that he wouldn't ever get executed from this Ao Kuang, so that way he could engage. But meanwhile, in the dueling side of things, Catalyyyst taking a little bit of poke from the poison darts, and he's actually traded relatively evenly so far.
The mana, though, onto the Xbalanque, can't heal him up. You can see both players have gone into that Soul Eater, so if they do get below 25% health, they'll have that kind of massive heal online for them.
And with that right now, just basically securing their speed buff finally yet again after losing it twice in a row. Kingdom is very happy to finally get that back online for Ao Kuang right now. Golfier is respawning very soon right now, and really good vision control coming out of eLevate, controlling the left side mid Harpies and also the boar side of the duo lane right now. They have that little nice perimeter surrounded.
You know, honestly, even though we've been talking about eLevates for so long, right, they're 7-2 right now in kills. Kingdom Esports are only down about 2,000 gold. That's not that massive of a difference looking at 21 minutes into the game.
At this stage of the game, if this was 10-minute mark or so,
yeah, that'd be massive.
You could snowball off of this, but yes, anything can happen right now, especially when you're dealing with the mid game, with the Ao Kuang, with the Scylla, especially with the taunt setup coming out of Toasty as well.
Also, eLevate have a Hobwa, which we've kind of talked about. When he's ahead is so powerful. But all it takes on Hobwa is kind of one mistake, right? One mistimed ultimate where you put yourself out of position and you will just die because you are a very squishy mage. And that Dynasty Plate helm is only going to help you so much, especially against BkWaste, whose Stellar Burst is probably going to chunk you. Gold Fury is started up by eLevate, and you can see Kingdom don't want to give it up, and here's a pretty good taunt. Only one found here, and Toasty is in trouble getting turned on. Typhoon going to knock him up here, and he's isolated. Story secures the kill, but here comes BkWaste, and from behind, it's actually the Ao Kuang trying to find someone in execute range, but the meditation going to keep everyone on eLevate healthy for now, and Paul goes aggressive onto his Hebo, looking for another kill on Catalyyyst. He's not going to be able to get away.
That's 2 kills on the side for eLevate right now. Golfier is still standing. We have a rotation coming out of Sealcar, but he gets there a little bit too late right now. The teleport was a little bit faster from Penyyy because the teleport was down actually for Sealcar. He had no way to get in there.
Yeah, and Sealcar here, he's waiting around the corner. He's going to get stunned out. The axe off the mark. And Gold Fury's reset, so eLevate playing this incredibly safe. They don't want to risk anything. Toasty has respawned, so the Athena ult will be up. This is something that eLevate has to be aware of.
They do have a lot of burst damage available to them to secure this Gold Fury. It looks like there's nobody from Kingdom. They just want to make sure that they don't die in this situation, because if they lose another 2 members for maybe stealing Gold Fury, then they're going to lose Fire Giant guaranteed off of that.
Yeah, and honestly, this double meditate up against the Ao Kuang, it's so devastating. We saw multiple members of eLevate kind of get to, 50% life, maybe a little bit lower, getting very close to where Ao Kuang could, burst them and execute them, but just quickly, heal. Nothing they can do about it.
Well, once it gets into later game, TsmaII taking a lot of damage out of Freya right now. Neath ultimate trying to find the return kill. Going to get absorbed by Penyyy. Double taunt online as well. Here comes the rotation out of Paul right now. The ultimate from Shock. Just going to stall for a little bit. Not really doing anything. Sealcar in a lot of trouble.
He's actually getting body blocks, but he is going to be able to hammer away. Penyyy looked like he wanted to chase into it, but decides not to. And there is a tier 1 up I don't think they know about. Left-hand side, though, the 1v1. And it is going to be Zachsy taking out BkWaste.
And with that, there's going to be nobody available to defend that tier 1 left tower. eLevate controlling the solo, controlling the dual lane side of things, taking away the speed buff as well, controlling Gold Fury before this happened even. So just they're on the road to victory right now. And Sealcar having to defend into the dual lane side of things. And Zachsy looking like he's trying to take this box. Meanwhile, Catalyyyst does fall to Paul right now.
And Zachsy doesn't even care if he loses this overall or he doesn't get the tower. He's just bringing so much attention over to this dual lane for them to defend a tier 1 that elevates just picking apart members. We saw the speed buff stolen. We saw Stormy go, or Sealcar almost get poked out as well. And then once again, I mean, that Soul Eater is going to play a lot in favor of Zachsy.
He just procced it, doing a little bit of healing right now, going to rebuild some of those stacks off of those minions. And with the teleport being down for the shock, this means that Penyyy is going to be allowed to push on the right-hand side, giving him the tier 1 tower in response. So objectively, eLevate is playing all across the board, spreading Kingdom Esports really thin. There's just not much opportunity for Kingdom to get anything in response. In this situation, when you're behind about 7,000 gold at this stage of the game, you're going to have to look for somebody out of position. But
or to trade, right? Those are your two options: is try and force a smaller engagement or like a numbers event for you, or split push.
You're going to have to look for those aggressive wards to spot those rotations coming up. But while you're warding, you might get caught out because everybody from eLevate is looking for picks as well.
I mean, it's dangerous when you're behind, as BkWaste has quickly learned about. There comes the taunts as well. Freya feeling himself here. Sealcar by himself. Freya actually could get turned on. He takes the Neath arrow, but it's not going to be enough damage. And Toasty just trying to keep Sealcar alive, but Toasty actually probably running the wrong way. Paul does find the slow onto TsmaII, but guesses the wrong direction.
Nice idea, though. He guessed, 50-50%, could have flipped a coin, but doesn't land on the right side. But they're going to be able to keep pushing in the tier 2 side of things. Penyyy looking to play very aggressive right now. Catalyyyst backflip is down for a little bit right now. Just looking to zone out these 2 members away while the tier 2 tower is being safely secured.
Oh, Paul. Oh, man, 7-1 and 3. I mean, that was just, Catalyyyst had no idea what hit him. He probably at first thought that Penyyy had finished him off, but it was really the hot wall. And now Gold Fury is down. There's only a couple towers remaining for Kingdom Esports, and it looks like eLevate, they're going to start to bait the Fire Giant right now. This Hebo is really far ahead.
Nobody in position for Kingdom to really do anything about it. We do have Kwong and the Athena, the closest 2 members, but they're going to get zoned away from Penyyy. Pennyy zoning out 3 members from Kingdom Esports right now. Shock on the bottom-hand side of things isn't there in time. Fire Giant is secured for eLevate right now, and they're looking to play aggressive still.
Oh, Toasty. He's in a little bit of trouble here. I think his dash is down. No, there it goes. It is back up, but Penyyy still chasing forward. Doesn't find the route here, so Toasty should be fine, and TsmaII actually going to come down on top of this team right now. So he might be able to find something, but the something could be death.
That's something he needs to avoid right now in this situation against 5 members with Fire Giant for eLevate. So got to be very careful about picking your battles. You have to give up tier 1 left tower, maybe even tier 2 in the situation because you're just this far behind. You're down 10,000 gold and the members have Fire Giant. So it's very difficult right now for Kingdom. They have to hope that the Phoenix Siege is going to be a little bit sloppy for eLevate, and then they can capitalize people that are just out of position.
I mean, they have to isolate this hot wall, right? Someone has to be the guy who goes in and makes the big play against them, and it's got to be TsmaII, but he's on the wrong side of the map right now, and eLevate, they're going aggressive. They've actually popped the shell early, and they're going to try and find Catalyyyst. He's going to get hit by the hot wall. No way he stays alive from that, and it is going to be Paul to find it. And now Toasty in the middle of it. You can see TsmaII in the back line trying to find someone. Freya very low, and Sealcar is able to secure him, but there's no execute target now for TsmaII, and this might be the fight that Kingdom was looking for. A little bit sloppy, but if Sealcar falls, it's not going to be in their favor.
Beautiful kiting coming out of Paul at the end there. He used the Aegis just to get back into the team fight as well as juking out the Soul Ultimate. Now the Neath unfortunately went for the Purification and Sprint, so doesn't have Sanctuary available to survive against this Hobwa. TsmaII not connecting onto Paul. Gonna try to Water Illusion out, but he's gonna get chased down by Penyyy. That could be another important kill to allow this mid Phoenix Siege to continue, which it does fall.
And TsmaII does have his ultimate, but no one's even close to that execute range. Only 1 Phoenix remains, but there's a tower in front of it, so eLevate are going to have to deal with that. Instead, though, they're going to go for the Gold Fury. They can take the tower anytime they want. Also going to be able to steal away this red buff. And, I mean, there's the counter matchup that we didn't really talk about too much earlier, but it's so powerful. Zachsy on this Xbalanque has this wide AoE poison darts. And while Kwong, I mean, if he's dotted up, he breaks stealth. right? If he takes any damage while in stealth, he gets popped out, and it's just such a hard counter matchup for him to deal with.
Yeah, especially you do slow him as well, so it's going to be easier to chase him down or easier to run away from him and kite him while you're just kind of backpedaling. And looking like the builds right now, looking for a crit online for Zachsy right now. Does have 2 stacks right now, not that much physical power online, but does have red buff, does have Fire Giant as well. So in this next engagement around the Fire Giant, once that does respawn, probably in about 2 minutes or so, maybe 2.5, eLevate is going to look for potentially a very aggressive play, even if it's going to be onto the Athena or the Shock. Just the damage online for eLevate is just too much for Kingdom to handle.
I mean, look at that. I mean, Paul has 24,000 damage, right? Doubling everyone outside of Sealcar on the opposing team, 10K over anyone on his own team. And he just backed with 4,000, almost 4,000 gold and full bought a Soul Reaver, right? He didn't even have Soul Reaver on beforehand.
Also complemented by the Rod of Tahuti as well. Could also sell his Vam Shroud as well for more kind of penetration. He's got one more item still. If he wanted, he could get Spirit of Desolation here.
Bye-bye, Sealcar. He's going to fall. Just a matter of time. Is going to ult to keep himself alive for half a second. Might find the teleport, but even if he did there was someone waiting for him. And Paul also going to run into TsmaII here. Actually taking a good amount of poke.
2-shot.
But never mind. And that wasn't even Soul Reaver proc. That was already used.
Yeah, that was already used. Just like that knock-up into the ultimate. You mentioned it before. The knock-up into the ultimate just going to be doing so much damage in the late game. Level 20 with Fire Giant still. The sprint is popped from eLevate. They're smelling blood right now. All 3 Phoenixes are going to be down for Kingdom, and this could easily be game going into the Titan room.
And Paul going to pop his Purification. Actually get very low, but there's no follow-up from the rest of Kingdom. And the intention right now, it's not even on to the Titan. Paul is going to get rooted out here. Could be in trouble. Pops his Sanctuary to stay alive. But honestly, eLevate, they need to be focusing off this Titan here. Instead, they're going to look for kills, but if they kill everyone, I guess it doesn't matter. 1 player remaining. It's Catalyyyst. He's pulled out of the fountain. It's going to be a deicide. And it's going to be eLevate, 21-3. First win on the board for them. Pretty well played, honestly. Kingdom looking good in the early game, but then everything just falls apart.
It just seems like the first game of these sets between Eager and Noble and the second set, the first game was basically decided about which team prepared a little bit better than the next. We saw the Habwa in the second set specifically. It just worked beautifully for eLevate.
And Habwa is a character where you can just focus him out in the early game, but once he gets 2 relics online, it's a little bit harder. But he was kind of hip to hip with this core, right? The Bacchus was just chasing him around the whole time, making sure he stayed alive. And honestly,